TelecomTV, where ICT connects.
This is TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick, reporting from Silicon Valley in California, where we are attending the fourth meeting of the ETSI ISG, that's Industry Standardization Group, on NFV. And I'm talking with Zygmunt Lozinski, who is from IBM. And he has a wonderful job title. It is Network Domain Leader and IBM Master Inventor. I never thought I'd meet a Master Inventor. Zygmunt, welcome. We're here at this ISG meeting. It hasn't been in existence for long, only a few months, 9 months I think, and yet it's done some very important work in a very short time. What has been achieved to date?
Well, I think the first major contribution has been to get everyone across the telecoms industry to agree on the importance of shifting to using widely available commercial platforms, cloud technology, to start to deliver network services. That's the first thing, and that was actually achieved at the very start. And I think the second thing has been to start to put some detail around that vision. What are the things that service providers will need to do? What technology is needed? And the recent publication by the ISG of the initial set of documents actually starts to put a foundation that goes beyond the vision and says, these are the things that we need to do. We need an architecture, we need the infrastructure, and we need the orchestration and management of that new global infrastructure.
Why do you think the ISG and its workings are so important to not just the industry in general, but to service providers in particular?
Well, service providers are coming under increasing pressure, driven by demand, driven by the volumes of data that they're seeing, and agility is becoming ever more important. The ability to deliver services quickly, to change the services that you're delivering in response to market demand. And that requires both a network and an infrastructure that is agile. And what NFV promises us is the use of components to deliver that agile infrastructure. In the same way that the cloud has helped enterprises become agile in the way they deliver services to their customers, NFV gives the service provider community that same agility.
What kind of an impact is NFV going to have on the service provider business models? And when do you think the hype around NFV will become more real?
Okay. I think in terms of the business model for the industry as a whole, it potentially creates an opportunity for service providers to extend their supply chain. We're here in Santa Clara, so all of those startup companies, all of the technology innovation that happens in the valley, that's one of the things that I think operators will find valuable. And one of the promises of NFV is because you have a common virtualized infrastructure that you can bring in new suppliers, new forms of innovation to work with your existing partners. And I think that's perhaps one of the great strengths of this approach. Now, the question about timing is everyone asks that. I think that we're at a stage where this year, 2013, next year, 2014, operators are doing pilots. They're trying to evaluate the technology. They're trying to understand how to operate this new infrastructure, because, of course, it's not enough to have agility in new services. You have to link them to the OSS systems, you have to link them to the BSS systems, and your staff have to understand how to run and operate that infrastructure in production. And I think that's going to be one of the big transformations that the operators will be doing over the next few years. So I'd expect to see that this year, next year, people are doing trials and proof of concepts. And I think beyond that point, from 2015 onwards, that's the period where people will start to identify production uses for NFV. And there's been all sorts of discussion, both here at Bad Homburg, about particular scenarios. And I think that's really positive, because it means that people are discussing, where can I, as operator A or B, get a business benefit out of doing this? And I don't think there's a canonical answer. But the key message, if anything, is pick something that matters to your business and use that. because as a result of doing that, you'll learn how to do the operations, how to do the OSS integration, and you'll actually get some real benefits.
Looking at things from a slightly different perspective now, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the service provider community when it comes to the adoption of NFV, and how do you think they can be overcome?
Well, in terms of the challenges, NFV has the potential to change and potentially disrupt the business model and the supply model within the telecoms business. But that's also an opportunity, because we're here in Silicon Valley, we're here in Santa Clara, and the innovation that comes from here, the operators now, through the use of a common virtualized infrastructure, have the ability to bring innovation from some new companies to operate in conjunction with their existing partners. And that gives them the ability to deliver new services and to take advantage of some of that spark of innovation. Now, in terms of other challenges, it does require integration with the existing operational support systems and business support systems. And at the same time, it requires that the operations staff within an operator are comfortable operating a network which consists of virtualized infrastructure and software, where previously they operated a network where you had boxes connected by fiber optic cables. That's going to require a new set of skills and training. That will be a challenge. Now you asked me about what I thought the timescales might be. We're here in the end of 2013, and what we're seeing this year is there are operators running technology trials, pilots, proof of concepts of particular aspects of NFV. And I think that process will continue through 2014. We've certainly seen that as we talk with our service provider customers. And I think once the operators have understood how to get the operational aspects of this solved, how to run these new infrastructures, by 2015 you will actually see technology where the operator is able to choose a particular business domain, a particular service, and use that to go into production. As you saw in Bad Homburg, there are lots of different operator views on which the critical services are. Some people say virtual CPE, some say virtual set-top box, others talk about evolved packet cores. And there is no single answer to that. It will really come down to a particular operator's business model and the pressures they're under.
You're with IBM and you're working in close collaboration with lots of other telco-based companies and vendors who in the past would have been mortal enemies. Why are you doing this? Is it seen as necessary, or is it simply because the move to NFV is being driven not by vendors on this occasion, but by the telcos themselves?
Well, so what we are seeing is across all of business, companies are telling us that they need greater agility, that they need to bring new services to their customers more quickly, and that they want to take advantage of cloud technology to do that. And what we see NFV as being is taking that principle, which we call the software-defined environment, software-defined compute, storage, and networking, and bringing that to the service provider world, to the carrier world. And so our contribution, if you like, is to take that general infrastructure and the management of that infrastructure and how to make complex workloads operate effectively, the orchestration, and to bring that into the service provider world and to bring some experience. And in order to demonstrate that that's actually achievable, everyone talks about orchestration, one of the things we did recently working with Juniper was to take OpenStack, which is one of the common pieces of software for the cloud world, and IBM's Smart Cloud Orchestrator, and integrate that into Juniper's Contrail SDN environment so that we could show the automatic provisioning of new workloads. And we think that's a sort of a valuable contribution to this area, because that's the sort of proof point that an operator will want to see, to say this technology can work, and not just for a single vendor. And of course we aim to work with all of our partners in this space to bring them into that carrier software-defined environment.
Zygmunt Lozinski, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
TelecomTV, where ICT connects.